How's it going, folks? Recording another best ball draft here, doing a 2024 big board. Decided to put like 200 bucks into the big board contest. Looking like we got pick 108 here. So I am extremely light on Bijan and Gibbs. I've mostly been taking like Puka, Amon Ra, and AJ Brown all over Bijan and Gibbs. So I like really only have one Bijan and two Gibbses. So I'm gonna kind of hope to be taking Bijan here at 108, but he might go before us. So we'll see what happens with that. There's a few ideas I wanted to try out, but they involve taking Justin Jefferson with my first pick. So unfortunately, I'll not be able to try one of them in this draft. But I might try to record my next few of these drafts and see if I can capture that one. This idea I have with Justin Jefferson, trying to set up him with both Cousins and JJ McCarthy to kind of have some layering. And I also want to build it with Drake London and Pitts. So I have like a whole map of a team I would like to try to build, but that team requires me to start with Justin Jefferson. So we won't be doing that here. Pretty excited if I get a shot at Bijan here. We could do some Atlanta stuff with Cousins and McCarthy because I think that that's actually pretty reasonable too. But really hoping this guy doesn't take Bijan. I actually prefer Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I just have so much Amon-Ra St. Brown at this point. I have no problem taking Puka over Bijan. I've done it multiple times, but that's why I only have one Bijan. And at this point, I just would like to get some more Bijan. So that's why we're taking him there. We're pretty happy to take like Nico or DJ Moore on the way back. Even Marvin Harrison Jr. to start my Cardinals bullshit, which I do a lot of. I do a lot of Cardinals bullshit that assumes I'm started that they get Marvin Harrison. I also do some Cardinals bullshit that assumes they started with Malik Neighbors, so could go down that path. I just love Kyler Murray's ADP. It is my favorite. My favorite ADP of all quarterbacks is Kyler Murray. I have him ranked number 5, and he goes much, much later than that in the quarterback hierarchy. So nothing too crazy here. Tyreek going 2, I haven't seen as much recently, but I personally don't like taking Garrett Wilson over AJ Brown very much. For me, AJ Brown is just a tier above Garrett Wilson, so I have AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, and Puka all in a tier together. Pretty nice for Bengal Buck at the turn to get both Puka and AJ Brown. Probably not going to be taking Jonathan Taylor or Achane. So we'll be looking at DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison. Could go with Rashee Rice and build some Kansas City stuff. I definitely don't like doing that in this particular team. So if I'm going to do Kansas City stuff, I like to start off with a wide receiver so that like when I take Kelsey and Mahomes, I'm not just like dead after. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison unless he gets taken, at which point I guess then I have to actually think. Okay. Pretty happy to get Harrison there. So I do think that the best landing spot for Harrison is the Cardinals of the reasonable ones he could go to. Because I don't see any world that he goes past the Cardinals, right? So, like, the only spots I could see him going to really are New England and the Cardinals, or if someone trades up with New England to get him, which could be a team like the Bears or something. Like, say the Bears take Caleb Williams number 1, then they want to trade up from 9 and also get Marvin Harrison. I can see that happening because the Patriots have actually like seemingly made it known that they're willing to move the 3rd pick. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're willing to move it for like a reasonable price. Like it could be one of those things where they're just trying to see what interest is. So, you know, so they plan on charging like a gajillion, and it's not really super realistic that that trade will happen. But so we do have Bijan here. Maybe we could build something with London and Pitts and like play for Atlanta, ending up with Kirk Cousins. I think that would be pretty interesting. You know, the Spike Week Discord I'm in. Eric Beim4 runs that, and the Spike Week website, which I'm sure if you're watching me, you already know about because I'm 1/1000th the size of that. I just have a few family and friends that watch my stuff. But yeah, he was talking. We were talking in the Discord about stacking at this point, like how it's harder, so people aren't focusing on it a lot. I'm a person that is focusing on it quite a bit. So like I would love to do like some sort of an Atlanta thing with Cousins as well as a Kyler thing with Marvin Harrison, and kind of see how that goes about getting maybe like a few layers of unique stacks together. The only problem with that is that probably mean trying to get Kyle Pitts and McBride maybe. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that would be a lot of early capital at tight end when I've already taken a running back. And you got to be careful not to get too far behind at wide receiver. So I would like to get Drake London. It would be pretty tough to assure that we'll get him the next round. I would be willing to reach for him, but I want to see what my other options are first. Like if Dell or Pittman fall to me, I am for sure taking them. After Dell and Pittman, like I might just take Drake London because I have like basically they're a tier above for me, and then the rest of these people are all in the same tier as Drake London. So I am not going to take Drake London here. I am going to take Tank Dell or Pittman because those two have fallen to me. And I will see if I am lucky enough to get London next round. If I'm not, then that's fine. I'll take Pittman. This means we'll probably be pretty interested in Anthony Richardson. I think he would have to probably get to us in round 5. He's pick 54. We're pick 56. I don't think that that's very realistic. Like obviously, like any guy can fall two draft spots, so like it's a little weird to say. I don't think that's super realistic. But just like right now, he's going ahead of ADP, not behind ADP very often. So it's fine if we don't end up with Anthony Richardson. Obviously, I would like to. Right now, I've got my eye on Drake London. If he goes, I might pull up Trey McBride and build out my Cardinal shit. So yeah, probably looking at one of London or McBride. Slightly prefer London because I haven't done any like real heavy Atlanta stuff with Kirk Cousins. London goes, that sucks. So that's gone. Man, Bengal Buck is building a team down here. I guess that means take Trey McBride and get back on my Cardinal shit, I guess. Other options are Devonta Smith. He's gone. I just took Kupp, and I don't even really like Kupp. All right. Yep. I feel a little forced into it, but we're going to do it. So let's keep an eye on where we're at here. So we've picked 80 and 89. Where does Kyler go now? Kyler goes at 91. So at pick 80, I'll have to kind of look at the board and see if I mind reaching for him or not. So I think it's a little important that when you're really thinking about those smaller reaches, like I see people all the time push a quarterback in a spot where it's like they don't even care about the wide receiver pick or running back pick that they're making. And it's just like, just why? Like, you have like 8 wide receivers or running backs sometimes in the same tier, and you're like risking missing your stack piece for just nothing, like no benefit. Like, I watched Splash play the other day, and Chris Baggs, he pushed Stafford to take Rashid Shaheed. Like, why? Like, if your team doesn't have Rashid Shaheed, who gives a shit? There's like 10 other wide receivers that are similar bets or like reasonably close to the same bet. And then he got sniped on Stafford and hated his team after. Like, I just try not to do that. Like, I'm not always pulling a quarterback up. There's plenty of times where it makes total sense to to risk it. Like, oh crap, I'm getting this huge ADP fall where like I'm getting a tier break. Like just earlier today, I had a chance where like Christian Watson could have been my wide receiver 5, and like I had to push Trevor Lawrence, who I wanted to do it, and it was worth it to me because like there was a huge tier gap for me after Christian Watson to the next wide receiver. So in that case, I was like, hell yeah, I'm pushing this. Yeah, we see Anthony Richardson went far before our pick here. So would have probably taken Anthony Richardson and just maybe not taking Kyler Murray for once. But yeah, I didn't suspect he would make it to our pick. Hoping one of Rome or Terry McLaurin makes it to us. I'd prefer Terry McLaurin. This guy took Tank Dell, right? Yeah, he should definitely take Stroud. You never know in these rooms. Fortunately, I have a lot of Kyler plus May teams, but that's because I like both Kyler and May quite a bit, and will not be sad to create another Kyler plus May team, which is what I would be kind of shooting for if I do this. Obviously, like we don't know for sure May is going. You know what? I've done a lot of May with Terry. I have done some Jaden Daniels too, but maybe we'll look to push this as a Kyler and May team, especially since we have a running back and a tight end pretty early. So like basically we're like only really interested in wide receivers, and I think that this build it could fit May and or sorry, Murray and Daniels pretty good. Where would Daniels? Where would I have to consider taking Daniels? 118. Could I push him to 104? Yes. So like I wouldn't take Daniels any earlier than 104. So at pick 80, we'll look at Kyler, and then whoa. Sorry, I'll bring that back up after I make my pick. Cool. Gonna take another wide receiver here, either Christian Kirk or Chris Godwin. Fine with either one. We'll go with Godwin here. I don't take him very much. I take Kirk quite a bit to set up Trevor Lawrence, and I don't think that I'm going to need to pull that lever in this draft, so I'll go with Godwin. So our next pick, we'll be looking at either taking Kyler Murray or possibly one of these 2 wide receivers if they fall to us. It's probably not a tight end or a quarterback, or sorry, a tight end or running back that could fall to us where we would really care that much. Like maybe Ramondre, I would actually care, or Spears. Obviously, I would care, but Spears is not falling to us. Let's switch back over to the other view for you. Mike Evans is a player that I just like. I'm not getting right now. Like, probably going to end up in a better situation than what he was in at Tampa, or at least the same situation. So I should be taking him some. I'm just kind of more into like the younger players that are around that area, but don't take much Keenan Allen, and I don't take much Mike Evans. I don't take much Diggs or Adams either. So I feel like all of those guys have like uncertainty around them on top of being old, so that's why I'm like not really into them for the moment. Once the situation is a bit more clear for all those guys, it'll be easier. Like, does Keenan Allen get Brock Bowers? Then maybe that's a little bit of a problem because they work in the same part of the field a lot. Does Keenan Allen get Malik Neighbors? Maybe that's a problem because Malik Neighbors becomes the alpha dog. Like, where does Mike Evans end up? What quarterback does he have with him? And then Devontae Adams, what quarterback does he have? Stephon Diggs, is he still pissed? Hmm. So behind us, we have two teams without a quarterback. I would pretty well like to end up with Brian Thomas or Christian Watson. All right, I'm going to take Brian Thomas here. We are going to risk it with Kyler, so this could end up bad. I admittedly don't have a great plan for if it ends up bad. Didn't much care about the tight ends or running backs, so I wanted to kind of play it through. I wanted to capture that tier break at wide receiver because after Brian Thomas and Watson, it was a big tier break for me. So that's why it was worth it for me, in my opinion, to risk the Kyler Murray thing. There was also a lot of quarterbacks on the board, but for sure this guy could just like rip off a couple quarterbacks, or just one of these teams could just end up taking Kyler Murray. Don't sling us. Brian Thomas, like, I only kind of like him at his price, but he does have some really nice landing spots he could end up with. Like, he's in the range where both the Chiefs and where both the Chiefs and the Bills and the Ravens, all those teams could be looking at a wide receiver in the range that Brian Thomas is going to go in the NFL draft. So that's why he intrigues me a bit. Super happy to get Kyler there. So we can pretty much take like any position. I would like to get Jaden Daniels with one of my 2 picks. Try to set up this Washington stuff. Where does Dotson go? 120. Definitely don't need a double stack here, but I'm just interested to see how it goes. So, like, we could go Jaden Daniels and probably get Dotson here, and then just start hammering running backs. The question is, where are we getting tight end 2 from? But I think that the ship is going to be sailed on the tight end 2s that we really want anyway at this point. So we'll just wait a while for tight end 2. We spent enough capital on McBride that, you know, we should be relying on him most of the time. So we could push this to a 3 tight end build. I usually don't do that with McBride, but one of the reasons why I might be willing to do it this time is we actually have an elite running back, which I often don't have. So like I would basically like be stealing from running back to go to tight end, which I'd be more okay with, seeing that I have an actual elite running back for a change, which I normally do not. So the question is, do we like the wide receivers on the board so much that we don't want to play the game I'm thinking of playing? Running back, I don't super like give a crap about. Obviously, I'm like absolutely fine single stacking Jaden Daniels and like playing him for Washington, but only taking Terry and not taking Dotson. I have done that a lot, and I really haven't done it with both of them hardly at all. So the only player on the board that I feel like is kind of like a must-have is like Troy Franklin, and I have like 50% of him. So maybe we'll give that a rest for one draft and do this Jaden Daniels thing instead. I don't mind taking Jaden Daniels over like Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams. Like, how much would I rather have Troy Franklin and Daniels? Probably a good amount, but whatever. I just have all of the Troy Franklin, so I'm just willing to let one go. Interesting, Swift has fallen to us, but with what I'm actually trying to do with this draft, I'm not that interested in taking Swift here. Just gonna take Jaden Daniels. Then on the way back, I might still be interested in Troy Franklin if he goes ahead of Dotson. If he's still there. I kind of hope that someone just takes Troy Franklin, even though I love him as a pick, just to make it easier for me to just take Dotson. DeAndre Swift makes it all the way back to us again. That's something like we could consider as well. Okay, Swift goes to Bengal Buck. That team was looking pretty nice. I'll take another look at that team on the big board after I make this next pick. On the bigger version of the board, I should say. I am going to take Troy Franklin if he doesn't go here and bypass the Josh Dotson thing, I think. Yeah, that's so gross. Ooh. Can I take Dotson just one time? Feels gross. Really want this double. All right. How? I just take Troy Franklin every draft, so yeah, it's tough to pass on one of the players that you really like that. But we're gonna do it this one time and then not ever do that again. Troy Franklin did go immediately the pick after, so let's take a look at this team. Puka, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Drake London, Roma Dunes. Did he have a chance to take Deontay? Deontay at 96. No, he didn't. Ken Walker and Swift. I don't really care for the running backs. Joku's fine. I'd like to see this guy end up with like Fryermuth to go with Fields if Fields goes to Pittsburgh, since he can't play for. So with Fields, I'm mostly playing him with Atlanta and Pittsburgh. Like, so I've tried to have Atlanta and Pittsburgh players both on my team, so they have multiple outs to getting stacks with Fields. He does have an Atlanta player with London, so that's kind of cool. I'd like to see him back it up and also end up with Freiermuth. Let's click back over and take a look at what we are looking at for picks. I like Zach Charbonnet quite a bit. There's a coaching staff change in Seattle. Like, there's a realistic world where they just prefer what Charbonnet does to what Ken Walker does. Charbonnet does also fit as a player that could have Week 17, has a higher probability of a Week 17 matchup with Kyler Murray in our Arizona stuff. Oof, someone took Benson. That hurts. I like Benson a lot. He's one of my highest owned running backs. This area of wide receivers, kind of yucky. I don't mind McConkey or Worthy. They're both like fine. We're already 6 deep at wide receiver, so I'm leaning a bit towards running back. Charbonnet goes, I'm in a bit of a tough spot. I'm probably going to take Blake Corum and not like it that much. Could take Herbert. I like Keandre. I do not like Roschon Johnson. Devin Singletary seems like just priced pretty high. Cool. Pretty happy to take Charbonnet there. So Roschon Johnson, I do not understand. Like, why is he more expensive than Khalil Herbert? Like, Khalil Herbert was the starter when he was there, right? Like, they showed pretty much when he's healthy, he's the one. And then when he got hurt, they were still like, nah, we're good on Roschon Johnson. We'll get Foreman going instead. So I don't know. I hate Roschon Johnson's price. I don't actually like completely despise him as a player or anything, but like I'm just not paying what his price is. It's just outrageous to me. See if the Bengal guy at the end ends up with Freiermuth. I am kind of looking at running back again. I would be somewhat interested in Lad McConkey or Worthy if we get completely hosed at running back, but there's enough running backs that I like that's not going to happen. I like Herbert. I'm fine with Jerome Ford. I like Keandre Miller. I like Bucky Irving. So I prefer Herbert to Jerome Ford. Kendre is one I just haven't gotten much of lately, so I'm going to just take a Kendre share. So one player I'm trying to get in every draft for the time being is Roman Wilson. I don't have as much as I would like, and I really, really like him, so I'm going to keep that in mind. This definitely could be a 3 tight end group, like I said. I think we're only going to go 8 wide receivers. So if we go 8-3, that's 11, 12, 13, we could 7 running backs. I don't think we need to even go 7 running backs. So I think I might go 6 running backs, 9 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends on this one. Obviously, extra pulls at running back are more impactful. Like, you would much prefer a running back hitting your flex as opposed to a tight end. If a tight end's hitting your flex, that either means something really, really good or really, really bad has happened for you. Like, it's not always that it's only really bad, because there are scenarios where it's really good, but those scenarios are very small. Like a couple of years ago, not this last season, but the season before, I had, the getting 24 points from a tight end in my flex because I had both Kittle and Evan Ingram, and they both went berserk the same week. So there are occasional instances where it's not too bad to have a tight end in your flex, but for the most part, that's not what you want. Jerome Ford and Bucky Irving go off. There's still some running backs that I'm interested in. Certainly some tight ends on the board I'm liking. Wide receiver, I don't have hardly any interest in Michael Wilson, even doing Cardinal stuff. Like, he's just way too expensive. Like, Michael Wilson, to me, to draft even in a Cardinal stack would have to be available in the last 4 rounds, 3 to 4 rounds. I just don't think he has that much upside. So I like Herbert. I like Estime. I like Braylon Allen. I like Michael Mayer, the players that are available to us. Love Tyler Algier. I'm in on Marshawn Lloyd. So if Mayer makes it to us, we're going to take Mayer and push RB, I guess, unless Herbert makes it to us. If Herbert makes it to me, I'm smashing Herbert. If he goes, then I'm taking Mayer. So I'm probably taking one of these people, and then hopefully getting a second one of these people. I don't really care about K-Dot much. I don't like Jaleel McLaughlin much. I know a lot of people are high on him. I don't see any world where he takes over like a meaningful role, like a 1A role. Okay, we'll take Mayer and then hope one of these running backs falls back to us. Now that we have like a pretty reasonable tight end 2, we definitely do not need to pick 3 tight ends if we don't want to. If I would have got a worse tight end 2, then I probably would have started to consider it a little bit more heavily. Now I'm open to 7 running backs and 9 wide receivers. I definitely don't want 8 and 8 when I have Bijan. So we can be pretty open with our last slot. Whether it be tight end or running back. I generally don't feel an overwhelming need to get to 10 wide receivers. 9 is about as many as I like to go. That's kind of annoying. Marshawn Lloyd is like the furthest down in ADP and the one I wanted the most because I just don't take him that much. I think we need to throw another option in there for running back that we don't mind. I know who I'll be targeting on the way back, that's for sure. Will that preclude me from getting Rome Wilson? It would. So I might have to push that one. Happy to see Jaleel McLaughlin go. Taking one of these 3 running backs, I would much prefer it to be Zach Moss or Tyler Algier. Oh, fuck, I forgot we have Bijan. Right. Thank you for not taking Zach Moss. I prefer Algier to Zach Moss, but obviously having Bijan, I would rather have Zach Moss. So got lucky there, I think. So there's a couple players that have on my mind for my next couple picks. Jalen Wright is another rookie running back that I don't mind. There is a super late rookie running back that's not getting drafted that I want to mix in a tiny bit. Like, it's not the most exciting profile, but went to Georgia. It's Kendall Milton. They don't really pass to running back, so it's a little bit hard to gauge if he could catch passes were he given the opportunity to. in the worst case scenario is he reminds me of Chris Rodriguez, who I took a bit in 20 rounds last year, where it's like, okay, this guy is just like a non-pass catcher, but there is a way you could work into the goal line role, and with half PPR, like I'm a little bit more open to that cohort of player. Then obviously in full PPR, I would never take Kendall Milton, but uh, I don't think he's a very good bet. But he's not getting drafted at all in these drafts, which was kind of why I took Chris Rodriguez last year. Like it's pretty much the same thought process. I do still think we could go with a third tight end on this team. I don't really ever go with a third tight end much when I take Trey McBride, but I kind of like playing it with Justin McBride and Mayer. Maybe this is one where we push to 10 wide receivers. I guess it depends what available running backs we have. I'd like to get Ray Davis, Jalen Wright, and Kendall Milton. That's my last three running backs, but we might not get any of them. Who knows? Roman Wilson is a guy that I'm like really high on and checked my exposures and I was like, oh shit, I don't have anywhere near as much of that player as I want to have. So I'm not doing too many big boards. So like for the rest of the big boards, I'm trying to take him in like all of them. So yeah, don't really feel too bad about taking Jahan Dotson over Troy Franklin, as painful as it was. Isolated incident. If I built this exact same team another time, I would take Troy Franklin. Roman Wilson goes, that blows, but doesn't mean that we get to take Ray Davis and not feel bad about it. I'm just gonna take Ray Davis. There's some other wide receivers, but like I don't really care which one I get, so just make sure I get Ray Davis, who I like quite a bit. Then whatever, I'm fine with a bunch of these different wide receivers. Could take Curtis Samuel and see if he ends up back there. I like Devontae Walker. I don't really ever get him, so I wouldn't mind that. There's absolutely no reason on earth why you should ever take Jonathan Mingo. I don't really take much Polk, so I'd be fine with Polk if he fell back to us. We could take Jalen Wright like early, but I don't really feel the need to do that. That's kind of who I'm hoping to get as running back 6 next round. If he gets sniped, then we can just come up with something else. Walker and Polk are both rookies that I'm like a little underweight on compared to where I'd like to be, so I would like to get one of those two first, and then Corley. This guy I like quite a bit, but I've gotten quite a bit of him. I don't mind Zay Jones and Treylon Burks at all, but I'm often taking them trying to set up. Like I take a lot of Zay Jones because I take a lot of Trevor Lawrence, and then I'm taking a lot of Treylon Burks because I'm like trying to set up Levis. So those are guys I actually have like quite a bit of, whereas like I don't have much Polk or Walker. Yeah, I think Curtis Samuel makes a little bit more sense than either of those guys on this exact build because there's some possibility he could go back to Washington. So I'm either going to take Polk or Curtis Samuel here. I think this person's timing out. So, all right, we'll take Polk this time. Way past ADP. I don't get much of him. Cool with me. This team ended up pretty interesting. Oops, sorry about that. Close that. do this. So team one here took A-Rich, Aaron Rodgers, and Daniel Jones. I would probably only take 2 quarterbacks there. Same thing for this team, Barnaby. I would stop at just Burrow and Purdy once you've spent that much capital. I'm only taking 2 quarterbacks. What about quarterbacks on this one? We get Dak and Deshaun Watson. It's one where I might be open to taking 3, but 2 is absolutely fine. Mahomes and T-Law. Obviously, that person shouldn't take any more quarterbacks. Got just Jordan Love on this team. Probably if I was this guy, maybe I wouldn't have ended up with David Montgomery or something. I don't know. The team seems a little light at QB. Josh Allen, Caleb Williams, Derek Carr. Please God, don't do this. Just take Josh Allen and Caleb Williams. You have plenty of upside at quarterback, especially with how many teams advance in this tournament. It's like a 3 advance. So CJ Stroud and Herbert. This guy to Will Levis. Don't like it. Me, Murray and Daniels. That's how I prefer it. You can very easily take a 0 at quarterback due to injury in this tournament and advance a team. Like, no problem. Got Hurts, Baker, Bryce Young. Again, I'd stuck with 2. This guy goes with Goff, Cousins, and Drake May. I'm pretty okay with 3 here. He's lacking a little bit of upside. Kirk Cousins might not be good to go right away, so then you're like eating shit every time Goff has a bad game. I like this mix of quarterbacks, so I like 3 quarterbacks for this guy here. We got Lamar and Tua. It's a little expensive, but fine. Got Fields and Matthew Stafford. Seems fine to me. So my thoughts on the quarterbacks. Oh, what do we got? Pick 2 of 9. So Jalen Wright did go off before us. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Brendan Rice is a guy I haven't taken hardly any of at wide receiver. Don't mind A.T. Perry. Some of those backup running backs I don't mind. Right now, the only running back under contract for the Texans is Dameon Pierce. I would assume he's at least the backup there. He's at least the handcuff, and we've seen him do some stuff. So, probably take Pierce or Brendan Rice here. I like Abenaconda and Chris Rodriguez as handcuffs. Guess I could take a shot at Tyler Boyd. I don't really like that. Got a lot of Malik Washington. Don't really ever take Brendan Rice, so let's do that. I like A.T. Perry, Malik Washington, Parashall. I like Abanaconda, Chris Rodriguez. I think I might take Chris Rodriguez here. We're doing some Washington stuff, right? So he makes sense. We're playing the Jaden Daniels goes to Washington game and stacking him with Terry and Dotson. So I don't mind going with Chris Rodriguez. Hopefully, see if maybe Brian Robinson goes down and Rodriguez takes over. I mean, obviously, I don't think Chris Rodriguez is going to beat out Brian Robinson, but you do have to factor in the fact that, hey, there's a new coaching staff there. Maybe they end up preferring Chris Rodriguez to Brian Robinson. I would doubt it, but It's above a 0% chance, right? Would be kind of fun to have Chris Rodriguez and Kendall Milton on the same team as well, since I basically see them as the same dude. Wow, Kendall Milton has an ADP. Am I not even allowed to star him? Kendall Milton sucks so bad they will not allow me to star him. It's been some. I don't mind Trey Tucker too much. He's a guy I haven't taken much of that showed a little bit of something last year. Yeah, I mean, there's still people that just are doing nonsense in these drafts. Like this guy just has like no stacking on his team. 2 dead zone running backs. I think things are more alive than people think. Best ball's still got a lot of people that are newer, still growing. Obviously, I'm working on off the idea that we have perceived edge and with the Spike Week Discord and learning from those guys and avoiding the RB dead zone, which for me is pretty much like after Devin A. Chain, I like these 7 running backs, and then I don't want another running back for a while. I do like Ramondre Stevenson, and I do like Tyjae Spears. So, like, those 2 I'm into. But the rest of these running backs in the middle, I don't like that much. Like, this price for Josh Jacobs or Aaron Jones, I mean, it's, like, fine, just not how I want to build my teams. Go with a homer pick of A.T. Perry here. I do like Malik Washington and Parcel, both a bit. Oh, A.T. Perry one. Do we want to take Trey Tucker? I've not taken any Trey Tucker. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we just take Malik Washington or Pearsall here. All right. Take Trey Tucker. We're going to finish this one off with a second copy of Chris Rodriguez. So this draft, Kyler Murray and Jaden Daniels for me is A plus at quarterback. Running back room with Bijan, Charbonnet, Miller, Moss, Ray Davis, Chris Rodriguez, and presumably Kendall Milton. I like it quite a bit. Probably give it an A minus. Our wide receiver group, we got Marv, we got Pittman, Terry, Godwin, Brian Thomas, Dotson, Polk, Brendan Rice, and Trey Tucker. I'd probably give this a B because it definitely needs Marvin Harrison to be, as good as we think he can be. If Marvin Harrison ends up sucking, then it probably pretty much kills Kyler. Well, it doesn't kill Kyler Murray at his price, but it wouldn't be good. So, can give our wide receiver room a B since we're pretty reliant on Marvin Harrison being as good as we think he can be. And give us a B plus for tight end. Like, we have a presumed elite tight end in Trey McBride. He's got the yards per route run numbers. He looks like, one of the young, better up and coming tight ends. Obviously, he could still crap himself. So throw a couple other guys in this queue that we don't mind, just in case somebody takes Kendall Melton for some reason. So overall, I think that this team's really, really good. Big fan. Hopefully, at some point, I pick. So far, I've mostly been fading Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase because I just never pick in slots 1 through 5. So hopefully the next time I record this, I will be able to get this Justin Jefferson plan that I have in my mind and see if we can make it a reality. I haven't taken Labe at all either, so he's a guy I would like to sneak in 1 or 2 shares of. But alrighty. Well, that'll finish this one up for us. Thanks for watching, and good luck in your drafts, folks.